Hello, everyone. Welcome to Spirit Sessions. We are so excited for our show today. It's going to be amazing. Before we get to it, please take a few minutes to share this out. Invite your friends. You guys are not going to want to miss what we're talking about today. We have the amazing Shawn Leonard with us, who's going to talk about being a spirit talker and his journey. And it's a powerful one and, just so beautiful. And we're so excited. Thank you all for joining us. Rhonda, please introduce our guest.
Thanks. I'm going to put Shawn up here. Shawn, I saw you on APTN, Aboriginal People's Television Network. Sorry, I'm going to get it all screwed up. And I just loved your vibe. And I love how you are heart-centered. You can feel the love when you're talking to all the people and how you help them transition their grief into like hope and joy, and no matter where they're at. And also, I saw you on a live somewhere about mullein weed. And then I actually spoke to you about a herbologist who had talked to me about mullein. Anyways, aside from that, I'm so excited that you answered our invitation and came on. And we just love you to sort of introduce yourself and how you came to become a spirit talker. Okay.
Well, thank you for having me, Rhonda and Bex. And I know there's another lady in your group that was unfortunately unable to be here today because she's not feeling well. So just please tell her I say hi. But, to define myself into one little box, I guess, is a little hard in some sense. I would say, first of all, I am spirit having a human experience. Second, I would say what I'm most prideful of as being a teacher is I have an online course called Spirit Talker Tribe. And, which entails, sharing the wisdom that I have as a spirit talker. I'm also an author of a book titled The Language of Spirit. And I have a show on APTN called Spirit Talker. And if you haven't seen it, please watch it. It's a great show. You can always check it out on aptnlumi.ca and watch. I think the first week on APTN Lumi is for free, so you can binge watch the show if you want. And if you're down in the States, you could always, get NordVPN and watch it from Canada too, just so you know. But, the journey to become the person I am today, as it changes so much throughout my life, I'm sure it changes throughout everybody's life as we go. Each new experience moves you along in the journey of life. And I do believe that we all have a purpose for being here. And, long before we come into the world, I mean, we live in a soul group. You can call it your soul tribe, whatever you wish to call it. And I feel like we all make, plans about who and how we're going to affect each other's lives and, what roles we're going to play, etc. And, choosing to come into physical life and live this life that we are living now, because again, we're spirit having a human experience. That, pick my mom and dad. I mean, do I remember? Does any of us really remember what we've signed up for? Probably, most likely not. We may have like subtle hints that, along the journey you can kind of see it unfold. And I know being a young boy, having many spirit connections, which I would have never, thought I was any different in any way from anybody else, of having visitations from my great grandparents, and not knowing why these shadow people who were my great grandparents were in my room and having these conversations after they passed away, which seemed pretty normal to my mom. And she made me feel like this was normal, nothing to be scared of, which I'm so happy about. Doesn't mean that I wasn't terrified still. Right. And I eventually had to say, okay, Nan and Pop, you guys got to go, man. I can't have you in my room. And they did. They left, thankfully. And I miss them. I love them in spirit world. And actually, it was the last time I've actually really had seen or heard them in my room again like that since that day. But I know they know I'm on my journey of life. But it was, with my father, who was in the Navy, and he was away for much of my life because he was being in the Navy or posted wherever on the ship for 6 months at a time. So he wasn't home a whole lot. And, aging as a young man that I was, at 15 years old, I think it was probably the most tragic event that has taken place in my life was, seeing my father make his journey home to the spirit world, where I wasn't able to resuscitate him, where my mom had come and grabbed me and was screaming at me to wake up and go out to help my dad, who was laying on the driveway for whatever reason I could not see. He was invisible to me at that time, which is the strangest thing, and I still think about that very much even today. That when I went out there to see where my dad was out on the driveway, like 5 o'clock in the morning, because he was going to work, October 16th, 1987. That I could not even see him laying on the ground, which is so puzzling. And I thought my mom was like nuts, because I said, ran back in and said, Mom, he must have got up and walked away. He's not there. And then my mom had to physically take me out and actually show me my dad laying on the ground. Was he invisible? I mean, maybe spirit works in really weird and strange ways. Maybe I was never meant to save his life. And I look at it those ways, that sometimes, what we may see as a delay maybe as divine timing in some sense that we cannot see. And even with the loss of my father, I could not foresee at that point that that shift in my life would be so life-changing, because it altered my life on that moment where after many minutes of trying CPR to revive my father, I realized that he was not there, not physically there. I could feel his spirit there. And I even remember yelling at him and, being 15 years old out of my underwear with a t-shirt in the driveway, cursing at my dad because I did CPR, which I knew very little of. I took a St. John's ambulance course in Boy Scouts, never ever thinking that I was ever going to have to, use this information in any way. And even though I could feel my father there, and I even swore at God, I swore at Jesus, and I swore at Spirit. I was angry. I was frustrated. I mean, why are you doing this to me, right? Why now? Why are you taking my dad? And so about a year later, after my dad passed, which was a massive heart attack, I had a visitation. And I've had visitations from my great-grandparents when I was young, but it was much different, because even though my great-grandparents were in my room speaking to me and talking to themselves, never did I have an experience like this, where I had woken on the couch of my mom's rec room downstairs in Elmsville, Nova Scotia. And when I woke up, I looked at the end of the room, which seemed to be about a 45-degree angle up. And there seemed to be a ball of light that was so bright. It was the brightest, whitest light I can't even describe it. It was so bright. And it just got brighter and brighter and larger to about the size of a person. And then out of the light walks my father. And, I stepped up off the couch, which then I could really see myself still sleeping on the couch. And I thought, okay, what is going on? Like, am I dying? And I thought that for a minute, that maybe this is it. I'm going home. I'm going to the spirit world. I didn't know what had happened, but and then my dad walks out wearing the oddest thing, and like he was wearing a long white robe, and I'm like, I literally said, Dad, what the hell are you wearing? Because like my dad would never be caught literally dead wearing this.
Apparently he was.
I remember, him getting drunk here and there, not like he was an alcoholic, but he smoked. He was like a man's man. He's not. You never think that your father, who just died, and I had no conception of what spirit would wear or how they looked. And here out walks my dad wearing a long white robe. I thought, this is just silly. And, and then it's quickly switched to anger. And because I was angry with my dad, because I could not revive him. And he said, he knew it. I didn't even have to say a word. It was like he knew what I was going to say. And he said, Shawn, you need to calm down. And I said, okay, I'll calm down. He says, I'm only here for a short time, and I have a few messages to give you, but these ones, you have to remember these. And I said, okay. And he says, you got to tell your mom that I'm okay, that I'm okay, and tell your brother that I'm okay. And I'm like, I can do that, Dad. And then even though my dad was talking, in behind him, even because he walked out of the light, just not very far out of the light, into the room, all I could think about was staring over his shoulder and looking at this place that seemed, oh my God, that was home. And I knew it. I remembered it. It was like there was some soul memory in my heart that remembered that space, that light, that this is our true home. And then, but long before the Matrix has ever come out, I was thinking this is some really fake world that we're living in. This is not even reality. That is reality. Like, why am I here? Like, I'm all these questions in my mind. Like, all I could think about is going back home. And as I tried to walk past my dad, even though he was speaking to me, he would move into my way, so I couldn't walk past him. And he put up his hand and he says, "Shawn, you cannot come here." And I said, "Why can't I come here?" He says, "It's not your time." He says, "We all have a purpose in life, and your purpose is not fulfilled." He says, "Remember these messages I tell your mom." He says, "And I need to tell you a few other things." He says, "Me leaving your life and moving home to spirit again is not an accident. It was meant to happen. Me and you," and he says, "you're not going to remember this. Long before you or I were born, we made this plan. We planned that I would leave your life at this point." I'm like, why would we do something like that? This is the most ridiculous thing. Why would I ever plan to lose my father at 15 years old? And he said, the greatest gift, and this is his word, he said, "Shawn, the greatest gift of love I could ever show you in life is to leave your life. Because in order for you to become who you are, somebody had to show you the light. And it was always my purpose to show you the light." And he said, "One day you're going to be helping and serving people." And I said, "How the hell am I supposed to be helping or serving people?" He said, "Shawn, you don't have to do anything. It just happens." I'm like, "Oh yeah, whatever." It sounds like, literally, and I always say it sounds like Yoda from Star Wars telling you something. It sounds like out there. You just think it's just craziness, but it makes total sense later in life. And that was it. I tried to get past my dad, and that was it. He touched me in the forehead, and I woke up on the couch, and I just jumped up, and I wanted to go talk. I went and talked to my mom the very next day, and I was really happy because I had this like incredible visitation with my dad, and I'd forgotten everything he told me about serving people and stuff like this because it was just gibberish. It was literally gibberish, and to me at that time. And I told my mom, and I said, "Mom, I had a visitation from Dad last night, and he wanted me to let you know that he's okay." And my mom cried a little bit, and then she said, and she got angry. And I said, and she said, "Well, she was angry because, why would he come to visit you and not me?" And I could understand that on some level more so now, because, being 15 now, then 16, and being a young man, I was at a different stage of my grief than my mom was. My mom was still struggling hard. She was married to my dad for 18 years, and he was gone away a lot. And I mean, I feel like he was like obviously one of the greatest loves of her life. And, she was still gripping with that, struggling with it very much. And for me, I was trying to move on with my life, and I started playing music, hanging out, smoking a bit of weed here and there when I was young. But I was coping in my own ways. I definitely don't have any weed issues, just so you know. But that was it, And my mom was resentful a little bit that my dad had chose to visit me and not her. Mm-hmm. And again, everything happens for a reason. I feel like my mom wasn't ready for that visitation because she still had a healing process that she was going through. And I think for other people out there too, from that experience that I've learned, a lot of people lose people. I mean, we all lose people at some point. We're going to lose people. It's guaranteed. None of us are getting out of this world alive. Mm-hmm. We all have to make a journey home to spirit again because that's our home. We have to go home. We can't stay here. I mean, it seems like a really great place to stay, but man, the older I get and the more frail my body becomes, I realize that, man, I can't stay in this body forever. It's just breaking down. And there's no one.
Yeah, I know. You hit that spot, right? Like they're going, if you want to come now, it's okay.
I'm ready for a new body at some point. Yeah, this one's not going to last that long. Like, hopefully it'll last like till I'm 80, but we'll see. I mean, that's up in the Creator's hands. But we all have a journey to go through life and fulfill our purpose. And my dad's purpose was to live the life that he had, but to leave at such a young age. And everybody that we lose in our life have fulfilled their purpose in some sense. Yes. I do feel like suicide might be one of those circumstances where somebody hasn't fulfilled their purpose completely, But I also feel that we live many lifetimes. And there's nobody judging us except ourselves based on our ability to meet the mark of life. And whether we choose to end our own lives because we are creators of our life each and every day. I'm not saying that's the answer, because I don't feel like you can escape karma. I feel like karma is meant to be worked through, whether it's this lifetime or another. So, if you feel like you're going to escape it, you're just not. I feel like you will reincarnate eventually. If not, I don't believe right away. Typically, as most people that I speak to that have taken their own life have made their journey home to the spirit world and are still over there, waiting for maybe to align everything, or their soul tribe to come back home, and then together make a choice of whether or not we step back into life. And so nobody's in a big rush, as there's no time over there. Nobody's going, oh my God, I better get back. I only have a little bit of time. It's like, man, we got forever.
So, Shawn, do you think there's an over there, or if it's just beside us?
It's both. It's both. It's everything. It's not one or the other. It's everything. There's here and there. It just is. I've got an incredible voice. That I have a spirit guide named Victoria, who I met probably about 8 years ago, and I record her quite often. Like, I actually have like a digital recorder, and I'll be doing different things. I'll be talking or serving people, or sometimes doing readings. Mostly when I'm working with earthbound spirits, if I'm trying to help somebody transition into the light or something, like, then she shows up to really help me and guide me. And often I record her speaking to me and the earthbound spirits sometimes. And she said something that was really, really cool. I have it on my YouTube channel. You can hear her say it. So you can hear her actually saying it to another spirit name. There was this earthbound spirit that I went to help on McNabb's Island named Howard Carter. I didn't know that was his name, but you'll actually hear him telling me his name is Howard Carter. And they all have like a breathy voice sometimes, spirits. So you'll hear him go, Howard Carter, like that. But then the one thing that Victoria's telling me and telling the spirit that I'm trying to help move on, and she says the light way, the light is. So she was telling me to go the light way, use light with this person, because we're all light beings. We come from light, we return to light. Light is everywhere. There's no place that light is not. Love and light are very synonymous as well. And, so when she says the light is, she says it with a very strong conviction, meaning there's no place the light is not. If you're open to it, if you're aware of it, if you invite it, if it's part of your life. And so is there a here and there? It's both. There is a here and there, but it's also everywhere.
And all the time.
All the time. There's no place that it isn't, just like love. It's this unconditional love. Love is. There is no, our creator doesn't look at anyone any differently for no matter what they do. Even the earthbound spirits have made some bad choices sometimes. There's no, condemning creator that is over there going, well, you've done this, you are not coming home. You're staying earthbound, and this is your hell, or whatever it may be. There is no hell. There's the hell that we created for our lives in physical world, but the hell we create even in spirit world, which is different levels of energy. And we can even exist even in our own physical lives on different levels of energy, of higher level energy or lower level energy. And even in spirit, we can create that. As we are creators each and every day, like I said, we create our life each and every day with purpose and intention in our thoughts, with our heart, hopefully. And then even in spirit, you can create a reality where we can be absent of light, or we choose not to see it. That doesn't mean it's not there. And it's really a shift of perspective for people or for earthbound spirits, and maybe helping them see the light within themselves, because it's not out here that they have to find it. It's in here that they have to find it. And when they discover that the light has always been there, the light is like, it just opens up everywhere else around you.
Yeah, for sure. And when you're out in the community and you're doing your shows, which you tape, and since you're in the Atlantic bubble, I don't know, a lot of our we have people across the world, so everybody's experienced COVID, so we all know what it is. So you're in the Atlantic bubble now, kind of stuck in the Nova Scotia, sort of. But this season you went out and you were doing one-to-ones with people, more or less.
Season 1 of Spirit Talker on APTN is it's a series, 13-part series of going to different Indigenous communities in Atlantic Canada, where I would do a live audience reading setting, and they film me. You know, the producers have no idea what's going to happen. I just get on stage and they film me, and I do like 14, maybe 15 readings in an audience setting over about 2 hours and a bit. And then they film that. And then the producers go, okay, we really like this story. We like this story. And usually what they did for season 1 is they would pick 3 of the readings I did in a live setting. And they would say, okay, would you like to come back for a personal one-on-one setting reading? And then I would do the one-on-one session and on the show, very short show. It's only a half-hour show. But they highlight 2 of the 3. And because then they, out of the 3 personal readings, they pick again their favorites that they like, or the things that they really resonate with, or there's a stronger story to. I mean, that's completely up to them. I just do what I do, and I can't control the stories. I just trust spirit. Whatever comes through, comes through. But for season 2, which is coming out at APTN, and I think, and I'm not 100% sure. I've been told it might be coming out in September, so don't quote me. Might be a little bit later. Definitely coming out this year. Another 13 episode series that I filmed during COVID. Now the premise of the show is a little bit different, because instead of doing a live audience show, what they did do is they had people in the community enter their name for a draw. It was completely random. And so instead of doing the 3 personal readings, they drew out 4 names from each community and didn't tell me who they are. And then I come, and then when they come and sit in front of me, I meet them for the first time. And then when I meet them, then I proceed to do a one-on-one session reading. So the only difference between season 1 and season 2, there's no live audience, which I love because it's such fun. So it's an awesome energy.
The energy, yeah.
Yeah, the energy is so awesome, because even though you're maybe only reading 14 or 15 people in an audience, and there's like 130 people there, and they've limited the amount of people come for filming purposes. That even if you don't get a reading in each community that I go to, because Indigenous communities are very tight-knit communities typically, and everybody knows something about everybody. So when you're there, even if I'm reading this person and that person and that person, you know, everybody kind of can relate because they know those people. And there's very, depending on the stories or the messages that come through, and I believe spirit is infinitely intelligent, that they know if I give this message here, it'll reach these 3 people. If I give this message here, it'll reach those 4 people. And I talked about this with another great medium out of the States, actually out of Boston area, is John Holland.
Oh,
I'm not John. He's
excellent. John toured together. We did a couple shores up here in Eastern Canada about 4 years ago. Great guy. I love him to death. And anyhow, we talked about this, and he said, you know, and he has a great way of describing, and he said, you know, some people are getting the letters, and other people are getting postcards. They're getting little postcard messages. That's what he calls them.
That's an excellent way to put it. Yeah.
It is. So everybody's getting messages, but some people are getting letters and some people are getting postcards. And the postcards are going for the non-direct connections to the spirit messages. So, and also with the show in season 2, I think they're only going to highlight 2 out of the 4 readings I did. I wish they could probably put them all on, because I think they're all great in my opinion. But again, that's the producer's protocol, is to decide which 2 they wish to highlight for the show. And I just do my thing. I 13 different communities in Eastern Canada in the Atlantic bubble for season 2, and I do what I do. I help heal people's hearts via the connection to spirit, because that's what spirit connection is about. That's what spirit communication is about helping people heal, to live their life connected, and a more healed, connected life, so they're not grieving or struggling or fighting something that they've been carrying in relation to the loss of somebody. And everybody is carrying something in regards to a loss, typically, not everybody, but a lot of people are. And when I connect to people and spirit gives me messages, they often take me to the pain points, the thing that they're carrying, the thing that's bothering them the most, the thing that is they're struggling with the most. And why do they do that? Because they're not up there in spirit or around us in spirit going, oh my God, I'm so happy she's grieving. I'm so happy that she's struggling. That's not what they want. They want you to live connected and to know that they're with you. So they will go to the pain point, help heal that pain point by talking about it, giving you a new perspective of looking at it, and then validate different ways that they're still part of your life. And then they may say the strangest things, like, you know what? They'll tell me about the freezer that's broken or the door handle that we're working on yesterday, because they were there.
And they know we need that validation to know, right?
Right. And they love to tell me things that no one is possibly able to know. Because the only way I could know is if I was personally there or spirit was really there. And they tell me the most minutest things is just kind of like out there. It's just funny. And in season 1, there was a great episode. I was in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, Acadia First Nation. And unfortunately, this mom had lost her daughter to cancer very young in life. She was a very strong girl, very petite girl. But you watch on Spirit Talker, because I'm reading her in the live setting, and sometimes they tell me the oddest things. And I feel so awkward. I feel really awkward. Like, oh my God, how am I going to talk about this? Now I'm like, I'm being filmed, mind you, for TV. You don't want to say anything that's going to embarrass anyone, and you don't want to say anything that is like kind of like, I've connected to this lady's daughter, and you can tell when I make the connection how hard she's grieving with the loss of her daughter. And then she tells me something, or she shows me something, because there's a language, hence the book titled The Language of Spirit, right? There's a language that spirit can and does use to communicate to people like myself, yourself, and other people. And there's fancy words like clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, claircognizance, clairalience, clairambience. There's a lot of words that people don't understand, but it's really just inner seeing, inner feeling, inner hearing, inner tasting, inner knowing that is coming through from spirit that communicate in a way to people like me that is going on internal of myself through my thoughts and my awareness, my perceptions. And it's really easy for me to now distinguish between, what's my thoughts and a thought that's being given to me, because they will show me those things that like should be nowhere in my mind. And so I'm talking to this lady about her daughter. It's kind of awkward talking about it now, but she shows me, I see her daughter, and she shows up with this bra on, only the bra. And then now I'll get a little graphic here, so please excuse me, but she takes the bra off, but it's all gray. I can't see anything, but she takes it off. I'm like, okay, what the heck am I supposed to do with this? Like, how do we even tell this? Here I'm talking to this lady's mother, and she's grieving, and I'm giving these messages, and then she shows me this. So what they don't show is me walking around for 30 seconds on TV, really awkwardly trying to figure out how I'm going to bring this up. How am I going to talk about this? So I said, I'm so sorry. I don't mean you any disrespect. I don't mean your daughter any disrespect, but I have to trust what they show me means something, because I know this is not in random thought in my head. This is very like detailed image that I just saw. I'm going to say, so you obviously there's a bra connection to her, right? And then they go, oh my God, yes. And then when I said that, her two sisters stand up, because then they know that what's coming through is authentic, because no one knows this but mom and those two daughters. And there's a funny story, because in the back room of her funeral, because she lost a bit of weight, and the three of them conspired to do something with her before they buried her or cremated her or whatever it may be. So they dressed her in the back room before the funeral and put a bra on her and stuffed it so she'd have bigger boobs.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Wow. And of course, no one would know that,
No
and they
one
wouldn't
knows.
tell anybody.
But her,
Oh my gosh.
I think she had a nickname. Like, I don't know if her nickname was Big Boobs or not. But anyway, she didn't. I mean, she liked the bra, but she didn't. It was like she was taking off. Like she was making me feel like I didn't need the bra.
Wow.
There's nothing there, anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like she was just like, I don't really need this bra. Thank you for the bra, but I don't really need it. It was like, but I mean, that moment was the pinnacle. Like, even though there's other messages coming through, it's that moment that no one knows except those three ladies that were there. That never has been talked about publicly with anybody, but just a secret thing between them. That those two daughters knew. Or her two daughters and the mom then knew that it was her daughter that was communicating, and there was a shift. There was a shift of like, oh my God, she's alive. She can hear us. She's still with us. She can still communicate. Because if it's potentially possible for me, that's potentially possible for all of us. And then you look at life differently. You look at, instead of feeling this disconnection from spirit, it becomes a more connected, in more of a relationship with spirit, where then you start having these incredible conversations with your people, and you include them in your life. And you know, in Indigenous communities, we have a ceremony typically where we put a meal out, usually a year after someone passes. So we invite them. We do ceremony. You could do a smudging ceremony. You could even do a pipe ceremony if you have a pipe carrier. But you can invite people, and you put out a meal, and you invite them to be part of that meal. And you have their friends and family, and it's a year after, or just about a year after the passing of that person, and everybody's gone through a lot of that grief now, right? So we're ready for this new relationship with our family. Not that we don't think that we're there the whole time, but it's like, this is like a point to shift into a relationship in a different form with spirit, with the people we love still. And they will still communicate to us. And it may be through a sign, a message, the song that comes on the radio. It could be anything. And if you're open to it, and you invite it, and you tell them that you're available for it, speak to them through your heart too. I say, when you speak to spirit, talk to spirit all the time. If people think you're crazy, who gives a crap? That's what I say. I'm in my car talking to people here and there on my place of music. It's not like I'm chatting all the time, but start having conversations with people that you love there, and don't think that they're gone, but they're very much still part of your life. And by coming or seeing somebody like me, it helps bring that realization to their own lives, because seeing me do what I do helps you realize that it's possible. And I think that's the gift in this is I feel incredibly thankful for my life, despite all the hardship I've gone through. And I've gone through some really tough crap, really in my life, but I'm thankful. I wouldn't be the person, I wouldn't be able to understand other people's struggles if I had not struggled. And I see that as part of my karma that I had to work through. In order to better serve people, you have to go through stuff. You just have to, it's part of life. And, what you do with that is your choice. You can be angry and disconnected, or you can be connected and loving and compassionate and caring, and just, keep doing the best you can. Because, again, each and every one of us one day is going to make that journey home. And look back at your life. Because, again, we're the one who judges ourselves about the future karma that we may reap through other incarnations that we may or may not choose. Because I don't know that 100%. I know I've lived other lives in the past. I can only believe that I'll live other lives in the future as well, because I'm definitely not perfect in this one.
We can polish karma, but we can't get rid of it at 100%.
Exactly. I'm going to be I'll probably working on a few more lives still.
Not done with the fun. So a lot of what your message does removes a lot of that fear of death, fear of the unknown. Because I know we've been so conditioned, like you were as a young person, that people were talking in your room, and you were scared because of the Hollywood spirits, that terrifies. And if we remove that fear of death and fear of connecting to people who have passed, then we can just kind of live life with a little bit more abandon, thinking the worst thing that's going to happen to me is I'm going to die. And that's not a bad thing.
No, it's probably the greatest thing that's going to happen to any one of us, is that we will die. We may not look at that because we value our life and the purpose of reason why we're here. And I think if that wasn't here, we'd be all checking out all the time.
Yeah.
But because we were ingrained with valuing life. And I think that's a big, important part of life. And I'm not saying take your life for granted, because you've come here intentionally. You've come here on purpose. You've come here for a reason. And it's to discover that reason and live it to your fullest. So that when you go home, you feel like that you've accomplished worked through the karma that you needed to, so that you won't have to work through some of this karma in the future or other lifetimes. But definitely try to talk to spirit and say, hey, make sure you balance all that crap out. I can only take so much here.
Yeah. I need some help. Thanks. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And knowing that they will respond. And especially when you have that faith, when you have that belief, that strengthens that connection even greater. It's like it's like there's different levels of energy. There's higher level energy, but it shortens the distance. It shortens the level of energy for which our awareness can go with our belief in our faith system, in connection to spirit.
Yeah, so cool. So tell us a little bit about your course that you do, and that'll be coming up in September again to re-up, and anything else that's going on, that maybe people can see more of you.
I can't tour because of COVID, but I will be touring next year, I'm sure. I will be touring across Canada, as I did several times prior to COVID. And I'm filming season 3, I believe, in July. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I'm going to start filming season 3. Season 2 will come out in September of Spirit Talker. So filming Spirit Talker it is 4 months pretty much of my life nonstop. It's a big time commitment too. So it's a lot of energy and it's hard, but I do enjoy the work that I do. And so it's not always work. It just sucks being away from home so much. And but I'm working on my next book. It might be out in a couple of years, because the way I'm going, it'll probably be a few years at least. But what else has happened with me? Well, of course, the thing that I'm most prideful of is Spirit Talker Tribe. Now, Spirit Talker Tribe is my online course. It's a 12-month course. I have a year 1 and year 2 and a year 3 right now. And this year, between my year 1 and year 2 and year 3, I have 650 students, which is incredible. And I have the most amazing people in the whole world. I feel so blessed that I get to share my wisdom with these people, because I get to touch people who are like-minded, and I get to touch people who are looking for that connection, to understand, to greaten their connection, so they can feel more connected and have a relationship with spirit themselves, and hopefully serve other people. And I had 3 ladies who have been working as mediums that were not prior to the course. And they're doing awesome, and they're doing group readings together now and individual readings, and they're actually doing stage stuff too, or just starting to do home things. And I think it's so amazing, because I can only serve so many people, and I don't even do personal readings anymore, because I'm just overwhelmed with everything in life, between the course, the TV show, and everything else that's going on. It's a lot. And so there needs to be people out there serving other people, because there's not enough people out there with this knowledge, this faith, the connection, and serving people and helping people heal. I feel like there should be psychologists and psychiatrists. They should be everywhere, and people could have access to them, so that when you're struggling through grief in some form, or you need to feel connected to your loved ones again, that there's someone that you can go to. But I always definitely, triangles of light, psychic mediums, that's who they are. Incredible ladies. And I'm so proud of them. I think I'm going to shoot a new video with them and put them out as a promo for Spirit Talker Tribe.
Awesome.
So Spirit Talker Tribe registration starts every September. September 7th to 30th is registration. I have an interest group, Spirit Talker Tribe interest group that's on Facebook. And I do a lot of Facebook Lives during September in that group, usually 1 or 2 a week. I give away gifts and things like that. And then once the course starts on October 1st, and because then I really serve my people that are in my course, and I give them my all. And there's weekly Facebook Lives in the course along with teaching modules. And that's where I put my heart, is helping people to raise people up to a higher level of energy so they can be where I am. It's really cool to be in this place and have the wisdom that I have, but I like to feel I'm not alone. I like, if we're going to shift the world, we have to change it in a way that bring people up to higher level energy that is connected. And you know, a lot of, no offense to people who are religious or anything else like that, but religion is failing these days.
Yes.
There's churches closing left, right, and center. There's no people. It's not speaking to people on the way that it used to. And today, you know, we're able to freely express ourselves. And I'm not nothing against religion, because I absolutely believe there was a man that walked the earth 2,000 years ago named Jesus, or Yahshua, whatever, Isha, whatever word you use to describe him. Was he an incredible man? Absolutely. And there is a story in my book where I was struggling, and he spoke to me for once. And I know this is going to sound out there. I mean, man, I could talk to all kinds of spirit, but you say, gee, you heard from Jesus, you're out there then. But I mean, he only said a sentence, and I knew it was him. And I was going through a really difficult relationship at that time, and my kids were fighting me and not speaking to me, and it was just hard, very hard. And you know, they're my family, right? Mm-hmm. But he said, I was asleep and half like laying in bed, and I'm not intentionally trying to connect to spirit. I was just laying there, and I heard a voice, as I often hear sometimes of other spirits that are communicating to other people. But I heard somebody call my name, and it just said, Shun. And it was kind of a weird way to say my name, because it was just like, and I thought, okay, I thought I just heard somebody call my name, but it was in my mind. So I didn't listen, because I'm sleeping. And he goes, Shun. I'm like, yep. Shun, you do not have a bad family. You have a good family. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the words were so powerful, so loving, so compassionate. And the accent in the voice, I was like, oh my God. Literally, I feel like Jesus speak to me. He, like, why? I mean, how does he even know who I am? That's my first thought. Like, I'm not even, like, me and Jesus aren't talking all the time here. And like, you know, he took a moment where he saw I was struggling, and I'm not even Christian, to speak to me, to help me to look at life differently. Mm-hmm. And that's how he would have walked the earth 2,000 years ago, serving people. And he wouldn't only just, you know, work with the Jews or whoever. He would go to every culture, race, faith, belief, and talk to them and teach them. It wasn't an elitist group. It wasn't just Catholics or Baptists or whatever. It was anyone. And he wouldn't call himself Christian. He just walked around being himself, the spirit. And I feel like in some way, you know, I mean, he's like a role model for me in some sense. And I get like, you know, how if I'm capable of receiving information from spirit, and I'm capable of knowing things and hearing things and connecting to spirit, it's definitely not too far out there to think 2,000 years ago there was another man that was able to do it, maybe even greater, right? Absolutely. There's people even greater today able to do incredible things and heal people, and there's miracles happen each day, and we think they only happened 2,000 years ago. That's not, it's happening all the time. There's near-death experiences every other day. You know, if not every moment, there's somebody like coming back from the light with a story about what they experienced on the other side. I mean, it's incredible. And anyway, and I'll teach this because this is a little bit of a teaching thing. But in Mi'kmaq, we have a word called Emsit Nogama. which means all my relations. And every Indigenous culture, has a very similar, they have the same word typically. Might be said differently because in their language it's different. But what does that mean? That means we're all family. And the same words that, Jesus spoke to me when I was struggling with my ex-partner and my children and all this, and I was struggling. I mean, me and my ex-partner weren't married or anything like this, but, we're family still. It's really, if you can change, and this is something that Wayne Dyer taught. And again, another master in my opinion, Dr. Wayne Dyer. And I've even heard from him too, which is really cool. And I got a whole story about that as well, which I can't get into. I've got too many stories.
I love it. Yeah.
But he said, if you can change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Same premise, right? Same wisdom in some sense, because I had to change the way I was looking at everybody in life, because I was angry with people and I was upset, I was hurt, I took things personally. Why is this happening to me and all this? Well, it's meant to happen to me. That's why. But it was that sentence, and when I heard him, I mean, I swear, I mean, if I'm not Christian, do I admire that person? And I don't worship him, but I admire him and the work that he's done, and I'm grateful for a small part of my life. He's touched my life, and I'm sure he touches other people's lives, like other masters that are out there, like Wayne Dyer or Deepak Chopra, or many other ones, Krishna, or the Buddha, or whoever it may be. They're all spiritual teachers, right? But if we could look at life like in everyone, instead of being angry at people, looking down at people, looking that people are better than us, they're all our family. They're all our brothers and sisters. They really are. We all come from spirit. We're all children of the same source. And that's the same premise. Like, we do not have a bad family. We all have a good family. You got to change the way you look at this stuff. And there was so much, like I said, love and compassion. If I was 2,000 years ago doing my thing, if I heard that man speak, I probably would have dropped all my shit and followed him too. Because he had that much conviction in words and passion and wisdom and connection. There's no way that when you see that in someone and you feel it from someone, that you wouldn't want to be like share that wisdom in your life. So I feel like Creator, has given me this life, as each of us has given our life in this purpose. And that's what I say. I pride myself so much on Spirit Talker Tribe, my course, because what's the purpose of knowing? What if Jesus, just think about this. What if Jesus back in his day knew he could heal people, but didn't teach people how to heal people? Why did he have 12 men and 1 woman following him around? Why? Because he was sharing what he knew. He was sharing his wisdom so that it would carry on through other people, that they too could heal people. And he even said that if you only believe, you could do these things and greater. He didn't say, oh, guess what? You better worship down to me and I'm the only guy here in town. So he's not what he said. And the message is lost there. And that's why I feel like churches are closing. And why there's this new spirit that is like evolving through humanity. And that there's new people waking up to a true connection to spirit that is coming from that same mindset of love, kindness, passion, and is expressing it through me, is expressing it through you and through many other people. And I'm sure every person that's part of my course, because they wouldn't be there if it wasn't some calling in them that was searching to be able to be expressing that in life in some way. That is inspiration. That is me. That's to break the word down to the finest point, is to be inspired is in spirit. So that is expressing, that's what's expressing, that's your purpose, pushing its way through your life, to do a podcast, to do readings, to do Reiki, to do whatever it is. If you listen to that voice is guiding you. Those are your guides. Those are your ancestors. Those are your angels. And I got a cool voice the other day. I haven't put it out publicly, but I took some people out to go to do a ghost investigation. And I went to a place that I heard, I don't like to call them ghosts because that's kind of negative. I call them earthbound spirits because they're still spirit. They're not demons, they're just people that think they're bad. And they surround themselves with negative thoughts and darkness. And they need to find light if you can help them find the light. Like Victoria said, the light is the way. So when I go to find these spirits, that's what I try to offer them, is to find a way to find the light within themselves again. Maybe it is bridging the world, connecting to their ancestor. Even though they've been around 200 years, doesn't mean their grandmom's not still in spirit trying to reach them. So I may pull in somebody, or somebody may work through me to get a message to connect to this person. It does for the living people that are physically here. It can also work for earthbound spirits. And if they remember that I used to have a grandmom that I loved, or that my mom used to care for me, no matter what negative stuff they've gone through, if you can find the spark of light in them, it shifts them to a higher level energy and then go into the light. And that's often when you can release people that are earthbound. There's not many, mind you, but there's some. And I feel so blessed to be on this journey, to be surrounded with so many great people, that I know that I'm not here alone. That you know, Bax, you, Rhonda, you, everybody in Spirit Talker Tribe, all of your guests here today, you would not be here. We wouldn't be here today. We would not be having this discussion if Spirit wasn't trying to find a way to reach people, or to express to people, to help us find our light within ourselves. And if we can change and we can help other people change, the world can change.
Absolutely.
And you can't. What is it? Albert Einstein says you can't change people's thinking with the same level of thinking. So you have to change people with different energy, different thought, different way of perspective. And you can't change darkness with darkness and anger, frustration, and fear. You can only change it with love, light, compassion, kindness. And that's what shifts the world. And that wisdom that comes from that. And if you approach everyone and everything in that life, it will literally change your life.
Thank you, Shawn.
Sorry, I get on these rants.
We could listen to you all day, but we know
Absolutely.
Teaching.
Awesome. I want to join your tribe.
Yes.
Yeah.
But my voice, I forgot to tell you about I got an angel's voice the other day.
Wow.
Oh.
Because she was with us, and there was one girl in the group because she was coming with me to do a ghost investigation. She's a little bit like earthbound spirits. And so we were walking out there. She's a little hesitant asking me questions, but in the background, I caught a lady speak, a female or female sounding spirit in the background goes, "I'm an angel." And so very clearly saying that there was an angel with us.
Wow.
I did not physically hear it with my ears.
You heard it on your EP, or
I could hear it loud and clear. I mean, I was trying to reassure that, that we're fine and all this, and there's nothing to worry about, and we're approaching this from love and light. But then it was like an angel letting us know that she was there to work with us. So when you work on that higher level energy and you invite spirit in, they'll, don't be surprised that you may actually, if I can record them, anybody can record them. They're with you, they're around you. Start talking to them. Say, hey, have a little conversation with them, record the conversation. You never know who you might record.
Yeah.
You might surprise yourself. If you can't hear with your ears, doesn't mean they're not talking to you.
Yeah, I take pictures of them all the time.
Yeah. And even in the Facebook Live sometimes, like I'll be talking, and up where my medicine is, you'll see an orb come out sometimes, a fly right behind my head. Mm-hmm. It's just like, it's just super cool.
It is cool. We often see them, like, depending on who we're talking to, we'll see orbs in the screen. Like, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
That orb is light.
Yeah.
That's our spirit. That's the essence of who we are. Some has much brighter spirit, some has a smaller spirit. There's no ego in spirit.
Right.
But they're, depending on how much energy they're manifesting in the moment to let you know they're here, they will do it.
Yeah. Oh, exciting times. And we'd love to have you back again, because we'd love to hear more of your stories, because we could have you all day.
Well, thank you. I'd love to be back. But thank you. And is there anything else you guys like to talk about?
Yeah.
Oh, so much.
Got a couple questions.
I do. First, I just want to say though, what amazing information. Like every question that I thought of, you answered before I got to ask. So I just kind of enjoyed the ride. It was perfect. And, you know, this is just incredible. I think that, you know, you really hit on an important topic of, you know, the revolution, the true revolution that we're experiencing is coming from within. It's learning to experience things from within and not have to lean on without so much. And you're teaching people that how to, you know, really open themselves up to identifying those things that they want to experience and being able to call those into their lives, you know, bringing that connection to spirit from within. And I think that's so powerful and so beautiful. And your spirit tribe is such an amazing presence. Like all of these people who have shown up today, this is amazing. So thank you, Spirit Tribe, for showing up with us today and hanging out. This has been awesome. And to our followers as well, like what an amazing energy that has been, you know, here today in this experience. It's been such a blessing to share it all with you. So thank you, all of you. The questions I have, of course, the first one is if you had to choose a song to be the theme song of your life, what would it be?
Okay. Well, I thought about this because you gave me these questions ahead of time. Thankfully that you did. Because that's a tough question.
It is.
It's a really tough question. And again, thankful to Spirit. I filmed Spirit Talker Tribe Season 1. And one of the things I did in Spirit Talker, not Spirit Talker Tribe, but Spirit Talker Season 1 for APTN, every Indigenous community that I went to in Eastern Canada, we sold tickets for a live audience. It was $20. I didn't keep any of the money. I donated 100% of the money. Elders got to come for free when I did live shows. And at the end of the year, I donated a check to Suicide Awareness, the Center for Suicide Awareness, for like $21,000 or something like that out of the 13 communities I went to. And some people even donated to the cause, which is super awesome. And because of that, and this relates to the song, right after I give the check to the Center for Suicide Prevention in Calgary, Alberta, because I was there on tour, and they actually come to receive the check at one of my shows in an audience setting, that I had a dream after that. And I dreamt of this young man who I didn't know who he was, or I didn't think I knew who he was anyway. And he showed up with another man who was behind him, and they were definitely rockers. There was a guy behind him wearing no shirt and had a guitar. And there was a guy with kind of darker, longer hair in the front, and he started to strum, and I recognized the song. It was a song by Soundgarden that I heard when I was young. It was called Black Hole Sun. That's not the song I'm referencing, mind you. But this guy started singing to me, and I was like, oh my God, I know this song. I'm like, who are you? I'm like, are you deceased? Or like, why are you singing me this song? So I woke up and I found out who had sung that song. And it was Chris Cornell. And I found out Chris Cornell had unfortunately taken his own life because he struggled with some mental illness and he struggled with drug addiction. And so I'm going to cry a little bit, but I feel like when he connected to me, because I didn't know why he connected to me, and I just gave this check for suicide awareness, and the fact that he struggled and he lost his life to suicide because he struggled, that I felt like he was thanking me for giving the check. And he actually gave me like a live one-on-one little music song that that would be the only song I would recognize that he would have done back in the day. But since then, I've listened to some of his other music, and I just listened to one earlier today, and it's a song that everybody knows. It's Imagine by John Leonard, or not John Leonard, John Lennon. By John Lennon, but Chris Cornell did it, because I was looking for Chris Cornell's song to thank him, because I know he thanked me for the money that I'd give to suicide awareness. So I felt I feel like I need to honor him and thank him in some way for that visitation, because it was very powerful and very meaningful that he chose to connect to me, because it was something that's probably dear to his heart. And maybe he wants to serve and help people from the other side because of where, he had lost his life. And maybe he feels like he can help other people from where he is. And I feel like he sees me doing that work. Mm-hmm. So I feel like he thanked me by that visitation. So I would say, Imagine a John Lennon song covered by Chris Cornell.
To find that one.
Beautiful. And just the synchronicity to my own experience with that, having a dream that he showed up in and sang a song to me called Thank You, which was the cover of a Led Zeppelin song. And like we had talked about before, I'd never met anyone who had an experience like that, and you haven't either. So it's just absolutely mind-blowing and beautiful. And
do you think this is an accident?
no.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. This is spirit. That I've never spoken to any other person that had, Chris Cornell come and sing them a song, and he sang you a song in a dream called Thank You.
Yeah.
And the fact that the song that I chose today is connected to him, and I had no prior knowledge of that. Do you think that's an accident? Not at all.
No. Such a huge confirmation.
I love stories like that. It's like that little synchronicity where everything just kind of ties together in some really cool way. That I believe is like it just empowers that message even more. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Oh, well, okay. So we have to move on.
Okay.
The second question is, what's your favorite crystal right now that you're working with?
I would say this one right behind me, beside my drum and all
Beautiful.
It's a clear quartz crystal.
Awesome.
So, I could hold up like different crystals, like I could probably all fall down
He
here.
collects them too.
Yes.
I got all the time. They're falling everywhere. I often carry many in my pocket, but no matter which one I'm carrying, I always clear quartz crystal.
Yeah.
Because it magnifies energy. It's a magnifier of energy. So if you have another crystal in your pocket with the clear quartz, it's going to magnify the power of that crystal even greater. It magnifies my intention with the work I'm doing. So on stage, I always clear, I usually have all the chakra stones in my pocket. And then I often will have a clear quartz there.
See, that's where the bra would come in handy for you.
Works well for us. Yep.
My grandma used to put her money in her bra. That's where I said, "Nan, can I have like $5 to go to the store?" She could just hold on. Oh, here you go. I'm like,
that's great. I love it. Third question is, have you ever experienced extra-dimensional intelligence?
yes. This is a big story, but I'll try to sum it up. I believe we've all lived many lifetimes. And I don't believe we've all lived them on this world.
Nope.
Big universe out there. We're light beings. Light can be at many places at once. It doesn't have to be one place. There's no place in the universe that light isn't. And there's no space or time. Quantum physics proves that today, that it's faster than light. That information can be transmitted faster than the speed of light. And there's been experiments that they've done that. The US military has done experiments on that with quantum things, quantum connection. And there's light even in the quantum field. Hence, that's why I feel the spirit world is in the quantum field of energy. But I feel like we've probably been species, probably, or other beings in other worlds. I have a memory of being one somewhere else, and about 20,000 years ago. It's vague. I was under hypnosis way back in the day. Way back like 20 some years ago. I'm sure everybody's heard of Sylvia Brown. But, I actually was studying to be a minister in her church for a brief time, and I became a minister in training. And then I realized it was her destiny, and I needed to go a different path. But I learned about past life regression, and the first past life regression I had in the minister in training program got a little crazy, because for a moment I looked human, but I was also part fish.
Wow.
Oh, mermaid connection too.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What the heck that was? I knew if I was to relate it to something, it was like these fish-looking big guys from Star Wars, kind of like that.
Oh, okay.
But I knew it was amphibious of some sort, some amphibian creature, but I was humanoid still. And I remember seeing other gray people and or other people there I panicked when I was in the regression. I remember their head minister, who was doing the training program, Sheila Hallmeyer, had to interject in the hypnosis session because I kind of like went into full panic mode because I was like, I felt like I was trapped in this ship with these beings, and I felt like I was like captive. And then she got me out of the hypnosis because I was really like in full panic mode when that all went down. It was kind of scary actually, because I didn't know what was happening. I couldn't explain. I didn't have terminology. I didn't have wisdom to understand what was happening in that circumstance. So, but do I think I'm special? No, I don't. I think we're all spirit having human experience, and spirit doesn't say I can only take this form. Spirit can take many forms, and other human. I don't think we would ever degrade in some sense to become a rock, because it would be not much to learn from that from our own experience. But I feel like we may have a humanoid type of like many lifetimes on other planets, and I'm in this one, as we all are, and I think it's very possible that we've been other beings in other places too. Absolutely. And then maybe some of our ancestors. People are being visited all the time, and you hear people about being visited, and they'll think they're all pissed off typically because they're being abducted or whatever. But how do you know that isn't like your long lost great grandfather visiting? Right.
I'll
Very true.
Yep.
Who knows, right? It's perspective.
Yeah.
Maybe they're your ancestors and they're coming to check on you. I did have another time where I was sleeping with Michelle, my fiance. She was asleep, and I woke up probably about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. And for a moment, I opened my eyes, and there was a little gray alien standing at the end of my bed, looking at me, flicking her eyelashes. And she was like this, had her hands up. I was like, and I jumped out of bed. I was like, what the bleeping hell? And then she just disappeared.
Wow.
But it was almost like she was admiring where I was in life. And that's what I felt from her. She wasn't there to do me any harm. I think she was just checking on me. And, with spirit, quantum energy, quantum physics, all that, I mean, we could be many places at once. Our awareness can be at many places, even in time. We could go back in the past. We can sometimes see futures because they're potential, but we can see potential futures for things. That's what I tell people when you come to a person like me. I mean, I see potential futures because it's based on the choices that you make, because you can still change your future. But you can't change the past per se. You can change how you look at the past, but it's something you could go back and see. But anyway, I feel like as we meditate and as we grow as spirit here in the world, and our ability to transcend time and space in a sense, where we can go back to the past and see another lifetime, or, and I've done this in the past where I've worked with the police, have been able to go into crime scenes and see things at certain times in the past and be there in my mind for a moment and catch glimpses, typically through a killer's eye sometimes. I don't do this, actually I haven't done it in a long time, but I have done it in the past, and I won't talk about who I've done it for, and etc. But for moments, I can see through other people's eyes in the time that they committed the crime. If I can do it in this form right now, that means there's other beings out there that can definitely transcend time and space from other worlds without ever physically leaving it.
Yeah.
And even potentially show up in your end of your bed for a moment and blink their eyelashes at you. So do I believe that there's other beings out there? I'm 100% believe there is. And I don't think it's far out there at all. We exist in the universe, and we're less than a grain of sand to think about it in everything. I mean, each is equally important to the whole. I mean, because you can't make a beach without the grain of sand, and you can't make a universe without the earth in it, as well as all the other planets that are out there and all the other beings that are out there at different levels of their evolution, of whether it's physical, mental, or spiritual.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wow, beautiful stories and beautiful gifts. Thank you so much for sharing this with us today. Thank you for hanging out, and wow, like this is so inspiring and exciting, and we really appreciate you and all that you do. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you guys and all that you do too. You're out there serving your people and doing what you got to do too. I mean, again, it's not just one man. It's not just one person. It's not just Jesus. It's not just Buddha. I mean, there's disciples, there's people, there's we're out there serving, the Creator in the best ways that we can. And whether it's me, you, or all the other people here that are watching this, I mean, we're all come from the same place.
Absolutely.
He's all in us. The light's in all of us.
It is.
The Force, Luke.
Use the Force.
May the Force be with us all.
Yes, absolutely. All right,
Which
before
was
we.
one of my favorite movies when I was a kid, ironically.
Absolutely mine too.
Yeah, such a good movie. Such a good series. Love it.
Yeah.
Before we go, we just want to announce real quick the winner of last week's Share It Out that won a session with Rhonda, and that is Lynn Marie. Congratulations. So if you guys who are new to our community want to know, we have this thing we run every week where the person who shares out the most gets to win a session with either Rhonda, Teresa, or myself. So the person who shares out next week is going to win with me. You get a 20-minute intuitive card session, which is an amazing experience to be able to connect with somebody and do that. So if you guys want a chance to win, just share this out as much as you possibly can. This is an amazing episode. So yes, and your book, absolutely.
I'm gonna throw this in. Like if
wow,
you let me know who wins, and you send me their name and address,
perfect.
And I'll sign a copy and I'll send them in the mail.
Oh,
thank
awesome.
you so much for that.
Well, thank
That's wonderful.
What an
And all of
honor.
Shawn's information is in the video description, so you can connect with him through there and get his book and watch his shows and go on his YouTubes and subscribe, because it all helps. So great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a beautiful, blessed week, everyone. We love you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I'm sitting Nogama.
Thanks.